remembrance of 9/11 that happened 20 years ago. We would never forget. And my heart, our prayers go out to all of the families that lost loved ones during that horrific event 2 decades ago. And so our show today, I have a wonderful guest lined up today, and we're going to really talk about preserving your health and a good health can survive any type of health crisis that our society may have to face. And so get your notebooks out. I have a wonderful friend in the studio. I've flown him in all the way from California. He's worked out. He's looking good this morning. So we're ready to have a great show. So here we go, y'all.
What is pressure? Pressure's a single mama trying to make ends meet. Father gone somewhere she don't know when he coming back. Pressure is someone in the hospital right now fighting for their life. Pressure is a dope fiend shooting up because he's lost all hope and he's feeling that needle in his arm or her arm is gonna allow he or her to escape for just a moment. That's pressure. That's a game, man. This has a scoreboard up. Half the people in the stadium gonna leave happy. Half of them gonna leave sad. This is a game. That ain't pressure.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mama. Hey, Miss Vanessa. Hey, Shalonda. Hey, Wilma. Hey, everybody. I have a great guest today. We met through another friend of mine. You know her, our coach, Tanoa Bond. He was on her show several years ago. I think 2009, 2010 time frame.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we met through her. And I still have a change jug full of coins because he gave me a homework assignment. He said, Dr. Sims, we got to operate in abundance and not scarcity. So you see those coins as abundance. And I have that jug to this day. And I told him, and he kind of chuckled about it. So listen, without any further ado, the man, the legend, and he's not a myth, y'all, Dr. Jack Ritchie. Good morning, Jack. How you doing, man?
Good morning, Dr. Walter Sims. Good to see you, brother. Really good to connect with you. And thank you for having me on the show this beautiful day.
Well, amen, man. It is so good to see you, man. How you been?
I have been enjoying a lot of the interesting aspects of life lately.
That's a great way. That's a great way to look at it, man. How's your family doing? How are those wonderful kids, your daughter and your son, man? How are they?
You know, now that they're grown up, 19 and 21 years old, they're moving on to their own lives,
yeah,
and enjoying their own successes, and I feel quite proud as a father. I think I've done a pretty darn good job, and yeah, they're doing really well. Thank you.
That's good. Well, give everybody a little bit of your background. You're a chiropractor, and kind of tell everybody, how did you get into being a chiropractor?
Sure. So when I got out of high school, instead of going directly into college, I went into the U.S. military just to get my head straight, spend some time traveling around the world.
Really? Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. And it was the hardest and the best thing that I ever did for myself. It was not just hard physically, but mentally and emotionally. So that really launched me into wanting to do something good for humanity. My best friend in the Navy was a hospital nurse.
Oh, wow.
And I hung out a lot with him, and I was fascinated by what he did. And coming from a family that has a lot of, shall I say, lifestyle health issues.
Okay.
I wanted to go into medicine because I thought, man, I want to help.
That's good.
I want to help my family. I want to help other people. And so after the Navy, I went into pre-med school. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. My grandfather had 2 failed back surgeries. So
wow.
I'm like, I want to go into this profession and be the best I can and be a better surgeon. And so I went into pre-med school at UC Davis in California.
Okay.
And while there, I hurt my back really bad.
Oh, okay.
And I reluctantly went to a chiropractor. I didn't really believe in them at the time, but it was an experience that really changed my life. The man was incredible. I even walked into his office and I said, I really don't believe in what you guys do. A friend of mine sent me here, but I'm hoping you can take some x-rays and see if I broke my back, because it was that bad. I could barely
man.
yeah. And so anyway, the man was wonderful. He said something to me that stuck with me for a long time, still is with me today. He said, well, I hear you, but can you suspend your disbelief long enough to see this working for you?
Oh, wow. I'm writing that down. I love that.
And it was nice because he wasn't pushy about it, and it wasn't something where he was trying to say, oh, here, believe in my thing, blah, blah, blah. He said, can you suspend your disbelief long enough to see this working for you?
I love it.
And I was like, sure, I'll give this a try. And lo and behold, he helped me. Within a week or two, I was feeling significant relief in my pain.
That's so awesome.
But then he about 2 weeks in, he said, I noticed on your health intake that you have a lot of other health issues. You're taking 4 or 5 different medications, and you're only 24, 25 years old, and so have you looked into some of the causes for why you're having to take those medications? Because it's not normal.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, okay. And so I was like, I have some ideas. I have a lot of doctors that are working at the UC system. I have specialists. They've kind of got it handled. But if you've got some ideas, I'll be open. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what is this crazy chiropractor going to tell me that these university specialists don't know? So anyway, he sat down and we looked at my health history a little deeper. Turns out I'd had some vaccines in the Navy that had made me sick.
Okay.
And I had thought that they did, but because after I got several rounds of vaccines before I went overseas, I had a lot of these symptoms starting within a few weeks.
Okay.
And, mostly related to stomach stuff. And headaches and a lot of other things that came off with that. Anyway, I had irritable bowel syndrome and several things.
Okay.
So anyway, he was really kind, and he said, I have some research that shows that some of the toxicity in those shots might have affected your gut health. And it was just really simple stuff. So he gave me some literature to read. I was like, that's the first time I've had any doctor actually acknowledge there might be a connection. My Navy doctor said there was no connection. My university doctor said there was no connection, that I just had these family diseases.
Right,
So to speak. And, I believed them because I did come from a family who have a lot of diseases. So anyway, long story short, he took the time. He said, let's get some toxicity tests. Let's look at, let's test your hair. You can do hair analysis and other toxins tests to see if you have heavy metals or different things. Let's do a nutritional panel to see what kind of nutrient levels you have in your body.
Wow.
And these are things that my medical team hadn't really been totally interested in. Are my nutrient levels high enough? And do I have toxins in my body? Nobody really asked me that. And so, sure enough, I came back with a lot of different toxins, environmental toxins, a few heavy metals, plastics, and I also was deficient in nutrients because I didn't really grow up with a healthy diet. My lifestyle, I ate some vegetables, but I also ate a lot of junk.
Yeah.
And I included the vegetables because that's what you needed to do, but I didn't have a good ratio. Anyway, he says, let's make some changes to your diet and give you some supplementation, and let's put you on a metals detox and some other detoxification.
Wow.
2 months, 3 months later, I started weaning myself off of some medications. My stomach was feeling fantastic. My headaches, my anxiety, my blood pressure was normalizing. And I had high blood pressure at 25 years old. They wanted to put me on high blood pressure pills. They wanted to put me on anti-anxiety medicines because they thought it was all just stress and emotions.
Okay.
But turns out I was toxic and depleted. And this crazy chiropractor helped me figure it out. And so, and I was so grateful for that. And, for the first time in many years, I dropped all my medications. The funny part of the story is I went back to my primary care physician at Davis, It was about 4 months after I start working with this guy, and I said, I'm just here to share with you the news.
What I've learned.
I've solved the problem. Like, we've been working on this for years,
right?
And I'm seeing this chiropractor, and as soon as I did that, this doctor did that. He's like, yeah.
Oh, now you a know-it-all.
And so anyway, I was like, listen, I just want your blessing. I'm here because, I want you to record it in my chart that, I was toxic and I was depleted in nutrients. I pulled some metals out of my body and some other things.
Wow.
And I added some nutrients. I cleaned up my diet. I feel better than ever. Also, when I get adjustments to my back, I actually feel a warm feeling in my stomach. I always have. Every time it pushes on my back, I feel my gut just feels nice and comfortable. And it was funny because this doctor was sitting in front of a chart of the human nervous system right behind him. And he was standing there, and he said to me, right after I told him that this chiropractor, when he adjusts me, I felt good in my stomach. He said, there's nothing that chiropractor does in your spine that's related to your stomach. And I said, have you seen that chart right behind you?
Yeah, I know you've taken at least one class on that picture.
The road map's right there. Like, the spine, the nerve goes right from the brain then to the stomach. There, it's right there.
It's right.
Anyway,
Wow.
He said something else interesting. He said, well, we should reevaluate your medications and maybe consider putting you on a few different things because, some of these diseases run in your family. And I said, no, you don't understand. People don't run in my family. People don't exercise in my family.
Okay.
I have pork chop disease in my family.
Hello.
I have vodka disease in my family.
Wow.
That's what I have in my family. And not that there isn't a genetic link. Of course there is. But that's a smaller portion now that I started to realize relative to how much lifestyle influences.
Wow.
How I was becoming sick. I had been led to believe all that time that it was just because my grandpa's genes and my grandpa and my grandparents, that they were sick, so I was going to be sick. I had that stinking thinking in my brain that whole time.
Wow.
And sure enough, lifestyles is 80 to 90%, whereas genetics is 10 to 20%. So that's kind of my important story. And I think it's relevant to have shared that in detail because it's kind of the framework for what we can talk about today.
That's very good. And I've just learned two things about you. I did not know you were in the armed forces and how unhealthy your upbringing was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did not grow up like this. I grew up on pills and potions and oftentimes sick, in and out of doctor's offices more than I ever wanted to know as a kid. And God bless my parents. They just, they were just taking the advice of our family physicians and,
because we didn't have the luxury. None of us had that luxury to go to medical school. So we trust our physicians, you know what I'm saying? So what, to really jump into our conversation, what was the aha moment for you all those years ago with that chiropractor? What light bulb came on for Jack Ritchie in that moment where you looked at your health report, he put you on a prescription and you got better? What was your light bulb moment?
Well, the first light bulb moment was when I was able to trust him, because I had so much distrust. Again, I went into this experience going, I need a real doctor.
Wow.
How I hurt my back was I was a bartender putting myself through school.
Okay.
So it was a Friday afternoon.
Wow.
And I lifted a keg of beer off the bar top, and I felt like somebody stabbed me in the lower back. Like, I dropped the keg on the floor. I fell back on my back. I was laying on the bar floor, and I remember looking up at a friend of mine, Greg Kane, 7-foot-tall basketball player, and he looked down at me with his scotch. And he said, "You're going to see my chiropractor." And I looked at him and I said, "Those guys are quacks."
Wow.
That's what I said. So the turning moment came when I was able to have the realization that this man that I distrusted could potentially be somebody that I could trust because he was already helping me. I was already feeling relief.
Okay, I got you.
You know, it was 2 weeks in and I was feeling a lot better. And I was like, I've had injuries not as bad as this, but I know they take a lot longer typically. And I was healing faster. So that made me open. And this man was also really, his name is Frank Savinsky. He's passed since, a beautiful chiropractor. God bless him. But he was really an effective communicator. He wasn't pushy about his ideas. He was a great listener.
Okay.
He repeated back what I had concerns with. He offered knowledge, but was never pushy about it. So that was, I think, in my head, the turning point, which made me open to then taking the other suggestions that he had. And at that point, I'm like, well, what the heck? And the other thing is he gave me books and research. He knew that I was in pre-med school. He gave me a book by a man named Deepak Chopra. Deepak is a world-renowned physician, medical doctor, classically trained, but also trained in alternative medicines as well too. The book was called Quantum Healing. Fantastic book. It was a turning point in my brain. In that book, there were medical case studies and ideas that Deepak talked about where people were healing themselves of very serious illnesses with more than just traditional medicines and therapies. And he gave me research to support what he was knowing because he knew that my brain needed that.
Yeah, and so you needed that tangible evidence.
Those were many different points of turning points. And then the reality of, all right, when I was reading this stuff, I'm like, I have some hope. Maybe this is why I've been sick for so long.
Wow.
And so, you know, but then the real turning point came in when the evidence came in. I mean, within, you know, a month or two, I started to feel the difference. I started to feel more energy. I started to feel I was sleeping better. My mood was improving. I could study easier. And so that's huge. You know, when you have a personal experience, there's nothing that equates to it.
That's powerful, my friend. So if alternative methods, so from your heart and from your lifestyle, from what happened to you, what should we do? Because America is more unhealthy than healthy. There are more people like your past than your present now. So what would your advice be to America, whatever the pandemic is, whatever the health crisis is, how can we alternatively combat any health crisis? Because you know the battle now is vaccinated versus unvaccinated, masked versus unmasked. And from your perspective and what happened to you, Dr. Jack, what can we do to really help us be healthier? What should we be doing?
Drink a lot of water.
A lot of water. Okay. H2O.
Let's work on the foundation, right? I'm sure you teach that in spirituality. You have to have a good foundation. I mean, when you're going to build a house, what do you do first? You got to work on that foundation. If you don't work on the foundation, that house is going to crumble, right? And so our foundations as human bodies, as physiological beings, are weak. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful kind of way.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
I honor where people are, and I don't put blame or anything on wherever people are because, hey, I was there. You know?
Exactly, right.
And so, you know, the foundation of making sure that your body is nutriented well, is hydrated well, is rested, is exercised. It is the most important thing that can do so much for us, so much more for us than we're ever led to believe by Western medicine. And I'm going to call it Western medicine more than modern medicine because, you know, that's an important side note to understand is that in the United States and in the Western world, we've been conditioned to believe that modern medicine and Western medicine is the thing and anything else is alternative, where it really should be different.
It should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around. I mean, a lot of what I'm talking about is foundational health practices that have been talked about since they wrote the Bible years
Right.
ago.
Right.
I mean, and who knows if not many years before that, you know,
Right.
people practiced, you know, these ideas of nutrition and movement for eons. I mean, bone setting,
Right.
what we call chiropractic, is as old as the Egyptian times. It's in
Right.
the scrolls, you know, people pushing on people's backs. And so the foundation is really important to
Wow.
understand. And unfortunately, it's just not taught enough by all modern day Western practitioners,
understand.
nurses, doctors. It's
Right.
not emphasized enough, right? And so, and everything, by the way, that I say can be backed up. If anybody's interested watching this show, contact me through Dr. Walter. Get my contact information. I can share research. I can share books. I can
Yeah.
share information where this is all a foundation. And by the way, there are also hundreds, if not thousands, of practicing traditional Western medical doctors
Yeah.
who also teach these things. Their voice is just quieted.
I
for some
understand.
reason,
I understand.
Okay, and we'll not get too deep into why that is, and we'll touch on it. But so the foundation, right? The foundation, and I've discovered this going through that chiropractic experience, that
Wow.
my foundation was weak, that I wasn't putting in the right nutrients, I wasn't feeling my body with what it needed, and I was putting toxic stuff in, and I had toxic stuff injected in, and all those toxins made my cells sick, and I wasn't giving it the right vitamins and nutrients so that they could purge those toxins and function properly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so the
Wow.
foundation then is, most importantly, I said water. Start with water. Drink at least half your body weight in ounces per
There
day.
you go.
It's really, really important. Divide your body weight by 2 and drink that in ounces per day. Super, super relevant to understand. Hydration alone is one of the things that really can take a person from being in a state of dis-ease to more ease in their life. They're
Just
super
drinking water.
dehydrated.
Just drinking water.
There's a medical doctor that wrote a book called Your Body's Many Cries for Water, and I read it while I was in chiropractic school years ago. And he's a doctor that went to jail for other reasons, but he ended up treating fellow prisoners with water prescriptions, and wrote his case studies on how many diseases improved just by rehydrating.
Wow.
If our cells are dehydrated, our immune systems can't function properly. All different kinds of things can't function properly. So that's the key. Next, with that, what I would consider most important is rest.
Yeah.
If you know, so many of us are not properly rested. I know I've been guilty of this. I know a lot of people in my life that stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, looking on our little blue screen.
Hey,
you know.
hey, Jack. So, Dr. Jack, are you saying we are walking around tired and thirsty?
Yeah. Well, what's the first thing we want to grab in the morning?
Hey, Jack, I appreciate it because it is, Dr. Jack, everybody in the chat is kind of looking wide-eyed. Are you really saying that many of our health challenges are that we're not drinking enough water and we're not sleeping enough?
That's the foundation. If you change nothing else but those 2 things, it would significantly change your life. It would significantly change your physiology, and it would give your immune system a boost that it really needs. So that's the foundation. You know, along with sleep and rest and things that you and I have talked about extensively on prior shows, is a good positive mental attitude. I mean, how PMA is that? You know, when you're happy, your hormones change. When you're positive, your whole chemistry shifts.
I taught on that yesterday. I'm teaching how to find a job, and part of that is having a positive attitude. People want to be around people that are positive, and I went through that dissertation yesterday, and it's so in line with what you're saying right now. So let me swerve a little bit. So why do people battle with positivity or a positive attitude? Why are people so negative, Doc?
Wow. That's probably a discussion that we could have for an entire weekend, right?
Right.
I would say at the core, at the foundation, is that we just don't tend to our own garden. We don't tend to our own attitudes. We allow ourselves to be subject to outside influences too much. We allow ourselves to scroll around on these screens and take that information in and let that dictate our attitude.
That's a good point. That's good.
We don't intentionally take time to cultivate a good attitude. We don't intentionally take time to make sure that we filter the things that should not be in our lives, right?
Wow.
And
Yeah.
if you take the time to look at a lot of what's on the media, of course, it's all doom and gloom.
That's right.
I mean, that's no surprise. You turn on any news channel, and within 30 seconds, you're going to hear some negative news.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, what ratio of positive news to negative news is shared in the media? And I'll share this with you.
Okay.
I've taken, relative to that, a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of negative things happening. Of course there are. But I've also, for many times in my life, before cell phones existed, traveled all around the world.
Right.
And to Asia and Europe and all parts of the world. And I promise you, there's way more good happening than bad.
That's right.
Just
That's
gotta
right.
get away from the screens. Get away
That's
away
good.
from that and
That's
go talk
good.
to your neighbors and go travel to different countries and see that there's beauty happening. And even in places where we think that there isn't, in places where there are people that are impoverished, I see way more smiley faces than I do in the modern America, where we have all kinds of things and we can buy a $6 latte and we're unhappy. Walk into a Starbucks and you see the frowning faces.
That's right.
On their screens. So there's beauty happening everywhere. So cultivate that attitude by first curating what goes into your brain and into your mind and into
That's
your ears
good.
and your eyes every day. Take time away from the media sources, even social media. Curate your social media. One of the gifts about social media is that you can curate it, right?
That's
you
right.
can block, unfollow. My favorite features on social media. Block, unfollow.
That's it.
I don't want
Delete.
you. I don't want to see that. Block, unfollow.
That's
block,
right.
unfollow.
That's
all
good.
the time I do that. All the time.
That is so good, Dr. Jack. That is so good. So what's next for you, my friend? What are you currently working on, and what's next for you?
I am rebuilding and rededicating myself to another practice which I love, which is a part of my chiropractic practice, but that is coaching. And
good.
I love coaching, and I'm reinvesting my energy into doing that. So I have for years included it just as a part of what I do in my practice. A lot of my patients have written in their reviews, they're like, going to Dr. Jack is like getting an adjustment plus. And I've always loved hearing that.
That's good.
And so, because I firmly believe that, when I'm working with a person's physical health through their spines and adjusting them and teaching them exercises and talking about nutrition, but the foundation is their attitude.
Right.
If I have a person who's got a shitty attitude and who's depressed, I don't care how much work I do on their backs and how much exercises I prescribe, they're not going to get healthy. And so I understood that early on, and so I'm rededicating to that. And
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, that's really, really important. I want to divert back just for a second, if we can.
Come on.
Because, you asked me about, one of the conversations you asked me about is, what's most important in regards to improving people's health. And, we started talking about this, and, it's really relevant, though, to note
This is
that
good.
statistically speaking, anybody who's most vulnerable to any kind of infectious disease, whether it be corona or the flu or cold or any of these, normal infectious diseases, we know the profile.
Amen.
We know what these people look like. We know what their physiology is.
Right.
In this country, 10% of our population is diabetic.
Yeah.
Another 40% of our population is pre-diabetic. And what that means is that those people don't have healthy metabolic functioning. Their
Right.
metabolism is off. they're taking too much calories in, and they're not expending enough, and so their insulin levels are off. And it's really important to understand this basic foundational important, because if people fix this one thing, we wouldn't really have a pandemic right now, honestly.
That's right.
It's really important to talk about this, like really
This is good. This is good.
own this, because, you know, our metabolism is the framework by which everything else functions.
That's right.
Our immune system depends on a healthy metabolism.
Wow.
If you have pre-diabetes or diabetes, your ability to fight off infections is hindered significantly.
Right.
So if you get exposed to a viral infection, your likelihood of having serious illness elevates orders of magnitude relative to another person who has a healthy metabolism. And so it's really, really important to understand metabolic health and to improve your metabolism through lots of methods. And I won't get into too much, but it really is about paying attention to your nutrition and getting proper exercise and rest.
Right.
Those are the foundations for good metabolism. And there's a lot more to it. And certainly a lot of people that are suffering from diabetic conditions for years or decades are going to have a harder time getting out of it. But it's not impossible, because I've worked with people who have diabetes for 20 years, and we're able to get them off of their medications and onto a healthier path. So that's really important. Body fat composition as well too is another significant risk factor. We know that the avatar, the average person who dies of coronavirus, is not only potentially diabetic, but also in the obese category.
Right.
And so if we were able to and those two go hand in hand, by the way, metabolic problems and body weight composition.
Right.
If we just helped Americans handle that one problem, we would not have a pandemic right now. There would be no existence of a pandemic. We would have there'd be outlying people and a certain percentage of our population that's never going to listen to this anyway.
That's
and they're
right.
going to get sick. And we would still have people that would get sick, but you'd recover within a couple of days.
Wow. Wow.
And I want to share a little bit of personal story with you.
Come on.
I, for the first 25 years of my life, as you know, didn't have a healthy lifestyle. One of the things I suffered from the most, besides gastrointestinal stuff, was I would get colds and flus every year, regularly. 3 or 4 colds a year.
Just like clockwork.
I get the flu every year. I just thought it was normal seasonal stuff, and since, touch wood, since seeing that chiropractor, and it's been 25 years, I'm 50 years old now.
Okay.
I have not taken an aspirin. I'm not taking an antibiotic. I don't get colds and flus. If I do get colds and flus, I don't get flus, but if I get a cold, the start of a cold, it comes on, and I do my routine, and within 24 to 48 hours, it's gone. And I'm not bragging, but it's a testament to the function of this work, because a lot of people say, "Oh, you got great genetics," and especially when I share my children.
How about that?
My children are 19 and 21 now, and they rarely get colds and flus. And if they do, again, we use the same protocols. We work on nutrition. We use herbs. We use juices. We make sure that they rest. We get them adjusted. We work on their bodies, and within 24 to 48 hours, they're healthy again. Both of my children at 19 and 21 years old have not had to take medicines in their entire life for colds and flus or any kind of sickness. No shots or nothing. And again, I'm not boasting. I'm just sharing.
That's just a testament.
It's a testament, and it's nothing to do with genetics, because we already established I have those genetics. I have those, I have pork chop genetics.
You said pork chop and vodka.
but
this is good.
But and it's really important, because if you see that just by changing your lifestyle, you can make yourself more bulletproof to infectious diseases, that's really, really powerful. Then you can ignore those crazy public health people on the media scaring us into, oh, you need to get this shot and that shot.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter to you. We wouldn't ever need shots if
Right.
people listened to this advice.
The foundation.
God gave us the ability, the strength to fight off these infections. We just aren't employing all of the tools in which we have in that toolbox to help us and give our bodies the foundation to fight off these infections. And that's why we're in this situation.
Man,
It's not because there's a crazy bug, which there is. And I know that I've had friends who are very healthy and they got sick for a day or two.
yes, sir.
But using these practices and we even have healthy treatments right now too, by the way. And I'm not going to talk about medicines, but anybody can do a little research into, because I'm not a medical doctor,
Right.
but anybody can do a little bit of research into alternative drug treatments for treating this corona thing. And you'll find that there are a lot of examples. If you want to look, for example, there's a guy named Joe Rogan who's a podcaster.
Okay.
Who just got sick last week. Follow what he did.
Joe, spell his last name.
Joe Rogan, Rogan. And he's a very famous podcaster, probably has one of the most popular podcasts on the planet. And he got the virus. And he used these alternative treatments that his medical doctors, who don't practice what the CDC says, they're practicing what they believe is right for his patient. And a lot of people are doing this.
Okay.
He said he had one bad day. And one bad day where he felt like horrible, but he threw these medicines at it. He threw high-dose vitamins at it. And he said 4 days later, he tested negative, and he was back to exercising again.
Yes.
And he's a 53-year-old man, and, he's in that risk category.
Right.
So, there's thousands and thousands of case studies like him. And so we really want to ask, and why are these case studies and why are doctors that practice this, why are they hushed right now? And why is the other side given the predominant voice to sell their very expensive potions and drugs?
Amen.
So
Amen.
It's really important to talk about that because I want people to feel empowered.
That's so good. That's so good. And I love your earlier statement that your doctor, your chiropractor told you, can you spend your disbelief for just a moment?
Yes.
I love that. I love that, my friend. How can people get in touch with Dr. Jack Ritchie?
Absolutely. Visit my website, drjackritchie.com. My contact information is through there. At social media, my channels are all at Dr. Jack Ritchie, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, on your next show sometime soon.
Man, you know what? I may need to have you on once a month, Doc.
Well, and what would be lovely too is if we could take questions, and I'd be open to that in a future show.
Okay.
Or if there are questions that people want to fire off at me,
any
questions, ask in the comments or anything like that, be happy to answer. Again, I can't give specific medical advice. It's not in my practice, but I can point people in the right directions and point you to medical doctors who are teaching these things. This isn't witchcraftery. They're modern medical doctors.
Amen. Amen.
I'm following most of them, by the way. This is where I get my research.
Yeah, yeah. I have some articles too, and it's what I love, and there are no questions in the chat, but if I get some more questions, I'll filter them to you. And our next show, what I'm going to start doing is taking live calls on the air going forward.
That'd be great.
You just got to do the research, and a lot of people are really lazy, and that's across the board. They are gonna consume information, and you just gotta pick and choose what you're gonna believe. You know what I'm saying? And I love what you said. One side has a larger voice than the other side, for whatever reason. But I just appreciate your personal testimony to advocate your stance, man. That I learned a lot about you today, man, that I didn't know.
Awesome.
And I just love you so much, man. DrJackRitchie.com, y'all. He's awesome. Oh, he's gonna be back in the month of October, cause we got part 2 coming. This is an awesome man. So, have you ever thought about doing like a podcast or a live? Okay.
Yes, sir. It's coming.
Hey.
It's coming. You know, I just shared with you personally, you know, that I've had some significant changes in my life.
Yeah.
And it's fun because, you know, you can use these experiences. You can get knocked down.
That's right.
And you can let it knock you down, or you can take a breath. You can cry. You can go through that grieving process.
Right.
And then you can put your boots on and go to work.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so and so that's what I'm doing. You know, I'm using the experience and as a reason, as a purpose, as a vision to share what I do. You know, a lot of people, when they ask me about my story and they hear that, you know, I was sick so often as a kid,
right.
There's more to it. There's more to it. I had abusive step families. I was emotionally abused.
Yeah.
My parents were divorced. I was at one point homeless with my mom when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
I had 6 serious car accidents. I have titanium plates in my head from a surgery when I was younger.
Wow.
All these injuries, all these traumas, I would live through them again if they led me to be the man I am today. Because I rose up and I embraced healing. I embraced my connection to God. I used my friends and my support network, and those things all made me stronger. And so that's what I want to teach more, and I want to get to a bigger audience. And so your question about podcasting, yes, it's coming because I have something to share, and I want people to know that they can rise up after they're knocked down, and that they can become stronger after they feel weak. So
that's
really
awesome, my brother. Well, listen, I love you. I think you're awesome. I know you're awesome. You're a wonderful father. You are just totally, you're one of my heroes, one of my mentors, and I look up to you. I value you. You said so many things to me that I have really implemented in my life, and I thank you for your friendship.
I feel the same way about you. You know, we're brothers from another mother. And hey, I'm holding you to that. We got a golf game.
I'm telling you, on national wide television, I'm coming to where you are. My clubs will be with me, and the man that strokes the ball the most got to buy lunch. Boom. Because, you know, my nickname is Tigger Woods.
Hey, let's meet halfway in the country.
Okay, bet. We'll do that, my friend. Listen, love you, man. Hug the kids for, and we'll see you on episode 2 next month, okay?
Thank you so much for having me, Walter, and you have a beautiful day.
All right, you too. That was Dr. Jack Ritchie, y'all. That was so incredible. We touched on everything I wanted to touch on. We're going to play a couple of commercials, and I'll be right back.
Hey now, if you'd like to donate today to the Dr. Walter Sims Show, please donate at Cash App, $Walter H. Sims. Yes, that's Cash App, $WALTERHSIMS. That's Cash App, $Walter H. Sims.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. Sims, America's #1 personal development expert and relationship coach. Watch this clip from this young lady. She just sent out a 911.
This is my last ditch effort. Where can I find men? Good men. Do you guys still even exist? I don't get it. I'm very kind and loyal and honest and sweet and take relationships very seriously. You know, 27. I want to get married, and I want to have kids, and I want to start a beautiful life, but I don't know how to make that happen.
Hello there, young lady. I'm Dr. Sims. Listen, there are a few things that you need to do immediately. I'm going to be doing a webinar on That's Wifey right there to give some single ladies some tips on how to attract the man of your dreams. I got you. It is not hopeless. Your situation is not hopeless. But here's a couple of 3 things that you can do immediately that's going to help you. Number 1, stop dating. Stop dating. I know that sounds foreign, and I'm building my webinar, and that piece of advice is not really given. Stop dating. Number 2, be intentional. Let your potential suitors know right out of the gate, I am planning to be married. I want to be married. I want to be someone's wife. I want to be married by such and such date. I want 3 children. I want to live in a house. I want to support my husband. I'm here to be a help suitable for my husband. Be intentional. And number 3, love yourself. You cannot, and I have a book entitled I Declare Love. It is criminal to expect somebody else to love you and you don't love yourself. Love you. Okay? If you do those 3 things right out of the gate, be intentional, stop dating, love you, you're gonna be on the right road very quickly. And listen, hope is not lost, young lady. Get in touch with me ASAP. I got you. And remember, if you stay high on life, life is gonna stay high on you. Hey guys, listen, was this not an awesome show? So did you hear what Dr. Jack said? Now we vaccinated versus unvaccinated. Pandemic, something greater may be here next year. What can we do to combat it outside of being vaccinated? A healthier you. And it takes work. I am guilty. I have to boost my water intake. I'm going to have to get back to exercising. I've got 30 pounds to lose. So I'm guilty. I do take high blood pressure medicine. The doctor wanted to put me on some cholesterol medicine. I have to work on a healthier Dr. Sims. One life to live. And so my advocation is, let's all work, and we can all agree on this, that we need to be healthier. We all can agree on that. Jack, awesome testimony. You heard his testimony. You heard his testimony. This will be on my YouTube channel. It's going to be a podcast where you can replay it. You heard Dr. Jack for yourself. You heard him. Work on your foundation. Work on our foundation. Amen. Right? So I'm not fussing at anybody, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I gotta work on Dr. Sims. I gotta work on Dr. Sims. We all need to be healthier. We want to combat any health crisis. We need to be healthy, and you can't serve God when you're sick, right? You know, God is Jehovah Rapha. Rapha in the Hebrew is healing, right, Dr. Troy? And so, you know, we pray for healing, but what are we doing with our temple? This was a good show. This was a great show. I'm just so thankful for my friend, Dr. Jack Ritchie, and he said in 25 years, he may have had 1 cold. Come on now. That's a great track record. That's a great track record. So we must do better, me included. All right? But listen, you guys have a great weekend. Remember, 9/11 is tomorrow. 20-year anniversary of 9/11. Where were you on 9/11? I was at work, my former job. And that was a very tragic day in our history. But we're here. We're still here. And so, listen, I love you. I appreciate your support. And remember, support. We have a voice. We have a platform. I'm so excited. Hey, and I just thank you for your support. If you're on my YouTube channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you know when I go live. I love you, and you can't do a thing about it. Remember, if you stay high on life, life is going to stay high on you.
Hey now, if you'd like to donate today to the Dr. Walter Sims Show, please donate at Cash App, $Walter H. Sims. Yes, that's Cash App, $WALTERHSIMS. That's Cash App, $Walter H. Sims.